Okay, welcome back to Goonie's World. I am Goonie, also known as Colin, and Happy New Year. And I'm joined by Johnny Farrow, also known as Sean.
Yes, Happy New Year. It's got to be better than the last year.
We'll see about that. And Meanie, also known as Ryan.
Happy New Year, everybody.
And what are we going to play today, Sean?
Well, we're going to play GURPS Ice Age, to be specific. And GURPS is a system that Ryan and I both used to play a long, long time ago. I don't think I've really played it in, 15 or 20 years. But I was much enamored with it back in the day. And it's a little rusty, but we'll see if it comes back to us. But yes, we are going back far, far into the past, into the Ice Age.
The GURPS Ice Age.
The GURPS Ice Age, which is slightly more gameable than the real Ice Age.
There's a lot more critical failures, I think, in the real Ice Age.
You're probably right.
Yeah.
It's a miracle that we live in this age at all. There's so many critical failures back then. Hopefully we will not have too many critical failures in this session.
One thing I've always liked about GURPS, by the way, just as a complete random side note, is a critical failure is when your dice come up 666.
Yes, that is interesting. I don't know that I ever quite thought of that. Yeah. And the critical failures and success rules are actually somewhat more nuanced than in games we're used to, but we'll get into that later if we have to and if we remember. GURPS purists may realize we're forgetting a rule here and there, but our primary goal is to role play and have fun.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, I haven't played GURPS. I played it all the time when I was 13, 14, but I haven't played it since, so.
Yeah, we are playing the 3rd edition revised, by the way. I have not even seen 4th edition. I know it's into a 4th edition now, and good for them, but I have about 37 second and 3rd edition old school GURPS books.
And all that stuff is basically, from what I understand, pretty much carries over to 4th edition, like all those source books.
Oh, I'm sure most of it would. Most of the GURPS source books would carry over to anything, and that's why I like them.
That's true. Good point, yeah.
They're great little textbooks for gamers, all about Japan from the gamer's point of view, or all about the Ice Age from the gamer's point of view. But enough praising Steve Jackson. We'll jump straight back to the Ice Age. And it is a world of tall pine forests, the world you live in. Tall pine forests, spruce, fir trees, very heavy carpets of moss underneath the trees, very primeval. Lots of huge ferns and huge rocks everywhere too, giant boulders due to retreating glaciers over the last 1,000 years. And between all these forests are plains with wild oats and alfalfa and lots of little icy streams and rivers. The climate's pretty cool. There's a lot of salmon and pike in the rivers to eat, and wildflowers just everywhere. And speaking of things to eat, the wilderness just teems with it. It's a challenging, dangerous time to live, but at least where you live, it might as well be a great buffet out there. There are vast herds of reindeer out on the plains, and horses and aurochs and mammoth, ibex, and of course then you've got your lone animals too, like the big woolly rhino or the cave bear, and predators, of course, who can kill you if they wish, would be a cave lion or the much feared saber-toothed cat. And of course there's lots of smaller game too, just animals we're familiar with today, like rabbits and ground squirrels and things like that. A lot of marmots. Anyway, you belong to a group of people called the real people. That's what you call yourselves. You're the real people. And both of you guys, even though you look distinct, just like, we look distinct among ourselves now, nevertheless, you have certain characteristics in common. Both of you guys are relatively short compared to today, and you kind of have a bow-legged walk. Your forehead slopes really sharply backwards, and you've got heavy eyebrow ridges above your eyes and almost no chins. And you talk, but when you talk tonight, when you're role-playing, it's really more of an approximation. You probably have a very limited dialect in terms of vocabulary, but a fairly rich gesture-based language as well. So when you're talking tonight, it's representing gestures and, various simple words. You all belong to a clan of the real people called the Clan of the Owl. The owl is the totem of your people for whatever reason. And the spirit of the owl guides you. You live together, several dozen people, in this great big large cave. There's a waterfall nearby. It's a really choice spot because there's a big cave with several sort of rooms within it that give various different families plenty of rooms for their individual hearths. And there's a waterfall nearby, so there's this constant supply of fresh, clean water. And there's a forest near. There's plains to the south and mountains to the north of you. And most of those mountains have big glaciers. But the winters have been getting shorter, or so says the grandfather who runs your clan. And snows are retreating further up the mountains, and the flat-faced people have been moving up from the south. You've never seen them before, but you've heard about them. They're flat-faced, and they live around these lands, around this hot sea. And you've heard stories of them. They're coming up further and further into the north, into the lands of the real people. But tonight, you're probably not thinking about that. You're probably thinking about the delicious auroch that is cooking. The great hunter Nolar, who's sort of one of the chief men in your clan. He's not the leader, but he's an up-and-comer. He's killed this auroch, and everyone's very proud of him. And they're cooking it right now. Twilight has fallen, so the sky is dusky and purple. And everyone's lining up to get a bit of their auroch meat. And the women have actually put together a pretty delicious salad and even a little seasonings. The people of the clan have a fairly sophisticated palate. But as you guys are getting up in line, the grandfather puts up his hand. No, you two shall eat last. The grandfather, of course, is the spiritual leader of the clan. He's very, very old, ancient. He's probably like 27. And everyone turns to look at you. And Ryan, your character, you're pronouncing his name Ghaagalk. Is that right?
Ghaagalk, yes. I like to think that he's a very early ancestor of Gary Gygax.
Okay, I get it. Okay. All right. And Colin, your character is Doof.
Me, Doof.
Yes. And Ghaagalk and Doof, you have greatly angered the Sky Father and the Earth Mother, the grandfather says, and everyone's watching you. Dozens of people. They're all staring. Doof, you fell asleep on watch. You let the fire go out. Do you remember? And you drank the sacred paint made from berries, and in your confusion you spit it on the wall, thus ruining the magic painting. It is a great shame to the clan. And Ghaagalk, your clever tongue has made unfair trades and tricked Nolar's woman into sleeping with you. Now Nolar cannot know if his sons are really his. In these things you have angered the gods, and therefore you shall eat last. Unless you can give good account for yourselves. What say you, Ghaagalk?
But I want to eat now.
You will eat later when you have proven that you are a good member of the clan.
It is not my fault that that woman is a slut.
I'm sure they have an equivalent word for
some
it.
kind of word, right?
And then you, Doof.
Me, Doof.
Yes, I know you are Doof. We all know you are Doof. What can you what reason could you have for eating first in line?
Me very, very, very hungry.
Both of you are a great disappointment to the clan, and you shall eat last after all of your brothers and sisters.
Me eat rocks.
I've seen him do it. He would eat rocks.
A couple people nod sadly. Yeah, well, he's right. You're not wrong, says one caveman. Anyway, you're forced to eat last throughout the meal, and this is, the lowest status person eats last. But it should be apparent to our listeners by now that you guys are not like the choice members of this clan. And why don't you just take a few minutes to describe yourselves a little more on how you see yourself? Why don't we go ahead and start with Doof? We can guess a lot about Doof just from his name. It's a good
Yeah,
name.
I mean, I went with the standard model of caveman, the stereotypical look. You know, he's big. He's got I think his brow is probably the biggest in the clan. I would guess. And you know, most sloping, and got a big nose, and yeah, you know, he looks like he sounds, and he's got like a stupid. I picture him as like having a stupid bowl type haircut.
I don't know why. Yeah, I can perfectly see that.
Like a Mo Howard type thing, or
Yeah,
totally.
that's him.
And Ghaagalk, tell us a little bit more about yourself, Ghaagalk.
obviously fairly short dude. I'm gonna guess, 5'2" but muscular, very muscular. But he's got like a kind of a wild, unkempt haircut, but it's kind of just almost it's almost like Bozo the Clown red. And it's almost that same style too, because the top, he's like going bald on the top of his head, but the rest of it is kind of rings around, and he does have like a wispy beard, wispy red beard, and so it almost looks like his head is just encircled by this wispy red hair completely, because it's down the sides of his face, right, and under the bottom of his chin, but he doesn't have a mustache or like a soul patch or anything. It's just like
a lion's mane.
Yeah, exactly, almost exactly like a lion's mane, and he too has like a large sort of bulbous nose, and kind of his eyes are kind of squinty. He kind of squints all the time, but there's just some glint of intelligence. Like he's just smarter than most of these other people.
Yeah, he must be to be able to talk Nolar's wife into sleeping with him after hearing about you. Because as you glance through the firelight over at Nolar, being congratulated by everyone for his fine kill, he's exactly what you guys aren't. He's lean and tall, and he's a real hero. But just then, the whole feast is interrupted as a fireball streaks across the sky from north to south. The whole scene lights up almost as bright as day for a few seconds. There's not even any screaming. Everyone's so shocked as you look up, and this literal fireball just tears to the sky and roars into the south. In fact, you don't hear it until a little bit later. And there's a great thundering in the south. And then the clan starts leaping up and down and shouting in confusion. And finally, you've never seen anything like this, but the grandfather finally raises his hands and finally gets everyone under control. He goes, "This has happened before. My grandfather told me he was old beyond reckoning, when he had no teeth and we had to chew his food for him in the back of the cave. A fireball from the sky is a sign from the spirits. When the hunters die, as you know, they go into the sky and they become the twinkling lights that we see. These are the souls of the spirits of the hunters, and they are happy. They have sent us a great boon, for this is the source of sky metal. Sky metal is a phenomenal, incredible, magical thing. It could help the clan greatly. I must consult with the owl spirit. However, we need an owl pellet. Ghaagalk, Doof, come here."
Oh, Doof.
Me, Doof.
I don't like this.
All eyes of the clan come on you.
I think he's gonna send us. I think he's gonna send us to go get the sky metal.
Me saw bird and sky on fire.
No, that wasn't a bird. That was a star. That was a star. It just fell out of the sky. It was really. I don't know why he's talking about ancestors or whatever. It's clearly a star that just got loosened from the heavens and fell. I mean,
silence. Come forward. Do not stand talking amongst yourself when the grandfather calls. Nolar looks at you, all disgusted. I must have an owl pellet to speak with the spirits. Do not think I could not help but overhear you. Do not think so highly of yourself that I would ever consent to send you on a quest for this sky metal. No, I send you on a quest for an owl pellet. Perhaps if you can retrieve the owl pellet and bring it back to me here, you can redeem yourself a little bit in the eyes of the clan. We all know it is Nolar who will quest after the sky metal.
Oh, yeah. Sorry about that, grandfather. I metagamed slightly.
Well, you will go into the forest and retrieve the owl pellet. And of course, owl pellets are the things that owls leave behind, like fur, bones, and all the shit they can't digest. And he uses it to tell the future and to talk to the owl spirit. So, all eyes again of the clan are on you as you are literally railroaded out of the dinner party and into the forest to retrieve an owl pellet, which might be hard to find in the dark, but at least the owls are out now.
Well, Doof, have you seen an owl pellet before?
Me seen pellet, yes.
Yeah, you guys have watched the grandfather do this ceremony many times in your life. And owls are very important to you. You guys probably know a lot more about owls than the average person. You've been to owl camp.
We started owl camp.
Can you make the call of a screech owl? This might become important later.
Yes. Me screech.
That is amazing. As I said, you live by a waterfall, and so you can imagine there's little rivulets and ravines and little creeks that kind of go up to the higher ground where the forest is. So you crept through there, making a few screech owl calls. And both of you can make sense rolls, which will be equal to your IQ. You want to roll your IQ or less on 3 dice. I don't believe either of you have any advantages that would give you any bonus.
I do not have any advantages at all.
That's true, you do not.
Well, I failed.
I succeeded by 1 by rolling a 13 with an Oh no, Mikey's only 12. Damn, I failed by 1.
Oh, well, you guys don't know what you look around for hours and you don't find an owl pellet. The thought of going back without one is shameful, embarrassing.
Me have smart idea. Me think make look alike owl pellet. Me gather bones and feathers.
Well, we need some fur. We need some fur as well.
Me wearing fur.
That's true. If we could find, a small rodent of some kind, we could
eat it.
Well, we could eat it. I'm still hungry. After all, all the good cuts of Auroch were taken at dinner by the time they let us in. I think I had to eat the asshole. Anyway,
Hey, I just made some secret sense rolls for you guys. And this time, I actually rolled a critical failure for Ghaagalk on this. But Doof, as Ghaagalk is talking, and you guys were pondering this idea of making a fake owl pellet, you just hear a rustle in the underbrush nearby. And suddenly, looming up out of the overgrowth around you, and you hear a low guttural growl, and there is the hideous visage of a big cave hyena. Now, hyena normally just doesn't attack people, you know this. It's more of a scavenger, even this big cave hyena. But sometimes there's a really old one that gets driven away by its pack and it gets desperate. And it's standing like in between you and the ravine that leads back to home, growling under its throat at you. you don't know if you could take it or not. Like I say, these cave hyenas that get driven away and actually get desperate enough to attack people, usually old, maybe even sick. What do you do? What would be your first instinct? You guys would act, by the way, in order of your move scores, but they might be the same. So
Mine is only 6.
okay, I think his is 6 as well. So
Yep.
we're going to go with who has the higher dex, which is probably Ghaagalk.
Well, Ghaagalk's much more of a fisticuffs type of guy, but I don't think that's going to fly with this hyena. So instead, he's going to slash at it with his stone knife.
Well, that is very, very brave. And you step into contact with the thing, and it growls back at you. And go ahead and make your attack with your stone knife.
Well, I don't have the skill. It defaults to 10, and I rolled a 10.
That is beautiful. And so your damage for your stone knife is what?
Swing -1, which is 1d -1. I rolled a 5, which makes it a 4.
Okay, there we go. Now, the cave hyena has a bit of damage resistance, of course, and he will take 3 of that damage, but the stone knife is a cutting weapon, so it will do an extra 50% damage. Rounding down, I guess that, brings it back up to 4?
It does.
Yeah, all right, so there we go. That's GURPS Combat. And the cave hyena takes 4 hits. Well, very nice. First turn. Now, Doof, can you be as equally heroic as your partner, Ghaagalk?
Yeah, I will use my spear and spear at it.
All right, stepping forward, you thrust at the hideous cave hyena. Mangy, too. It does look sick. Its eyes are yellowed around the edges.
And I do hit.
There you go.
Let's see. And that would be 4 damage.
Okay, and I actually let the hyena try to dodge because I forgot he could, but he didn't. So you'll take, again, 3 will go through because he soaks 1 of it with his DR. But it's an impaling weapon, so it's going to double. So you do 6 hits to the cave hyena, if I'm not mistaken. Therefore, before the cave hyena has even gotten to go, he's already taken 10 hits of damage. And yet he still has life left in him. Maybe if he had anything left to live for, he would hesitate, but he either kills you or he does not eat. And so the cave hyena lashes out at the target that hurt more, which was the spear, and he tries to take a huge bite of you, Doof, and he rolls a 13, and that is actually going to bite you, and he will do only 1d damage of cutting damage with his teeth, and so he does 5 points of damage to you, 5 hits with his disgusting, slobbery, dirty mouth.
All right.
And I believe you're going to soak 2 of that because you have the advantage of toughness and you have the furs.
Yep.
So that means 3 get through, but he has a bonus of 50% rounded down for 4 total hits is what you take.
All right.
Luckily, I think your buddy knows a little medicine. He knows a little old school first aid. But this cave hyena is clearly shaky. And Ghaagalk, do you wish to do anything?
I'm going to try to finish him off.
I thought you might.
Once again with my swing of my stone knife, and that will be an 8, which will hit, unless he dodges.
I think I will let him try to dodge that, but he doesn't. He has an 8 dodge, and he's so far rolled in the teens every time he's tried.
Oh, but that's just going to be a total of 0.
Oh, well, and I think you always do at least 1.
Well, I mean, So it's 1d minus 1.
But
Even
he'll
if it's
soak it.
minimum 1, he's going to soak it, yeah.
Right, but he does soak it. Yes, he does. And Ghaagalk, maybe, or I'm sorry, Doof, maybe you can step in and
All right.
kill this hyena and put it out of its misery.
You wanted me to remember something about
That's absolutely right.
when we get hit.
Yeah, you're at a -4 to attack this round only.
Okay. Well, I will attempt to strike him with my spear. Oh, well, that still hits.
All right.
So,
He's not chosen all-out defense, so he can't dodge again.
that would be 8 damage.
Well, congratulations. You two have... Maybe you can redeem yourself a little bit. You have killed a cave hyena. And like I said, it's old, it's mangy. You guys don't like to eat meat-eating animals generally because they taste bad. You like to eat animals that, that eat vegetation. But maybe the fur could be... The skin will definitely be worth something. You guys basically... Skin is like money to you. Animal skins. Anyway... congratulations. Probably I should have made that cave hyena use an all-out attack on his last attack, but that's okay. Now, of course, you're hurting a little bit. Would you like to try to apply some first aid to your friend?
Doof took 1 bite, is that right?
Doof took 1 bite.
Doof, come here. Let me see your wound. I will attempt to staunch the flow of blood.
Me, Doof.
And I succeed with a 9. So I'm assuming we're tech level like 1.
0 actually. But you have neutralized or partially neutralized any poison that might be in the bite, which would include disease. Remember I mentioned how nasty his mouth is. So you get it cleaned up to where there's not going to be an infection.
Okay.
But you stabilize him. He's not going to bleed anymore or anything like that. It does not immediately restore any hits to him, however.
When we get back to the village, you will need to have the healer take a look.
You have to have you have to have the grandfather's wife, who's a very powerful medicine woman, take a look.
This hyena just came out of nowhere, like in the woods. Is there a cave in sight that it came out of that we can see, or can we?
Well, I'll
maybe
assume that means you look around a little more.
Yeah.
Go ahead and make those sense rolls again. It's an IQ roll.
No,
my IQ is just too low.
That time I rolled a 10.
Okay, well that's good. That's good because you don't find any kind of cave. You do see the tracks where it came, and you can see it a little bit anyway, where it came from, but you're stopped in the process because what you find is an owl pellet.
Do find owl pellet.
I don't think you found it. I think Ghaagalk found it.
Me do. Me find.
Well, I picked it up and he's like, "Whoa, I found it."
Yeah.
Now, I assume, do you guys want to take the cave hyena back?
I'd probably take the time to skin it and just bring the hide. I want to drag the whole damn thing.
Okay. Anything we can do to help our situation out. Yeah, I think that's just an extra bonus.
I'm gonna have you make an IQ roll. No, let's call it a survival roll. Survival roll to skin it properly.
Wow. I rolled a 13 and my survival is 16.
Well, there you go. You'll have to, do a few more things to process this, obviously, before you can do anything with it, but you've got it off, and you haven't made any gross cuts in it that will ruin its value, as a possible garment or something like that. I'll assume you probably want to get back to camp after that. Remember, you were looking for hours in the first place, and then you found the hyena, and then luckily, maybe the gods are smiling on you because you found the owl pellet while looking for the cave. So I'll assume you go back and you know the way. This is your local area. And many people have fallen asleep, but as you come walking back into the camp, everyone stands up. People are waking each other up, and the grandfather stands. They see you carrying the fur, though. I see you have run into trouble.
Yes.
No trouble for us.
You have killed this cave hyena. Perhaps you have more spirit than I thought. But the real question is, have you brought the owl pellet?
Me have.
Doof tried to eat it, but I would not let him.
I am not surprised. Nolar comes up, mighty hunter. That is an old hyena, he said. Is sick and driven away. It is no great feat. It's no great feat, he says. And of course, he's got his little posse of hangers-on, right, and minions, and they're all pretending to not be impressed. Of course.
Yeah, he's like the villain in a 80s ski movie.
He totally is. You can just picture him. Go ahead and just picture him as the dude from, Karate Kid, the blonde guy.
Yeah.
He's
I was
even
actually
worse.
imagining Biff Tannen, but
Biff Tannen, you know what? That's 10 times better.
Yeah.
That's 10 times better. He's Biff Tannen. Biff is a good caveman name.
that is
But,
actually.
yeah. In fact, one of his posse is wearing like little 3D glasses. So,
Of course.
yeah. Anyway. Well, it's GURPS. You can have weird time-space anomalies. Anyway, you guys present the owl pellet to the old man, the grandfather, and now everyone gets involved because everyone is gathering around. He gets into the firelight and he cuts open the owl pellet. And he stirs around it. Everybody's being completely silent. No one should make any sounds as he's calling on the spirit of the great owl. Suddenly, he looks up, absolutely shocked, almost horrified. And he's looking at both of you. He said, "The great owl spirit has spoken. This is a momentous oracle. Ghaagalk and Doof must quest for the sky metal." "What?" says Nolar. This is fool. "How dare you blaspheme," says the grandfather, who, however, whatever he thinks of you guys, he believes the owl spirit. He's not going to listen to Nolar blaspheme the owl spirit. "Don't you blaspheme," he says to Nolar, who shuts up promptly. "I do not know why the owl spirit has spoken thus, but perhaps this is your chance to redeem yourself and become heroes in the eyes of the clan. Perhaps you will become real men after all."
Me quest.
I'd like to, if it's not socially sort of unacceptable, I'd kind of like to take the grandfather slightly aside and
Ghaagalk, do you have words you wish to impart to me?
I am curious how the owl spirit came to this conclusion, and I am concerned that Doof will try to eat the sky metal.
You will not be able to digest the sky metal. In a worst case scenario, we will cut open Doof and take the sky metal from his body. These are my secret instructions to you, should he be so foolish as to eat the sky metal. I cannot tell you why the owl spirit has spoken thusly. Perhaps the owl spirit sees something in you that has remained hidden from me.
Very well, grandfather. We will quest for the sky metal.
Yes, but first, Doof is hurt.
Me bitten.
The medicine woman will make you the tea. And over the next hour or so, people begin working on your hyena skin, and they're not going to be able to get it done and have it ready for you to wear out of here, by tomorrow or anything, but someday you get it back. And Doof, you drank a very, very potent tea that the medicine woman gave you, and you were restored of 2 points of health. You're still not back up to completely full health, but you get you get 2 hits back. And both of you drift off to sleep. Of course, you guys sleep in essentially, there's several big, large rooms in the cave. Like I said, different families have their own hearth, their own little fire. But you guys, not being really attached to anyone, generally sleep in a pile of other single people and older children. You guys probably still do things like groom each other, pick ticks and lice off of each other and things like that. But you fall asleep, one of the last things you see is Nolar's jealous gaze. But you don't know what he's got to be so jealous about. He's going to get to stay home with several beautiful... He's got a wife, and he's got like a second and a third wife as well. And at dawn, with grace ceremony, you are sent off on your way. And remember, says the grandfather, be very careful of the flat-faced people. They're very bad people. They think they're so smart. And if you see them, I would avoid them if at all possible. For it may be that they wish to have the sky metal for themselves, and they are already numerous in the Southlands where you must go. Remember this. This sky metal is a very sacred thing. And so I remember I told you that my grandfather had once knew of the sky metal, and he takes out from a pouch a tiny piece of... It doesn't look like metal. It really looks like a hard black rock, but it's on a thong. This sky metal, like attracts like. This piece of sky metal will find the larger that has fallen. Which of you shall take the responsibility of carrying this precious bit of sky metal that I possess from my medicine bag?
Well, I think you should give it to me, grandfather, for Doof will try to eat it.
I think you are correct. And he hands you the small bit of sky metal, which you can put around your neck, or you can... Because it's basically made to be worn like a necklace. He hasn't been wearing it that way. He's kept it hidden in his medicine bag. But do you want to wear it around your neck, or do you want to put it away?
For now, he will put it around his neck. Later, he might get a branch and try to use it like a dowsing rod or something.
And you again, Nolar looking on with envious eyes as you put that around his neck. Just as you put that around your neck, this essentially great treasure. Do not lose that, Ghaagalk, or you will bring the clan great shame. In fact, if you do not get the sky metal, perhaps it will be best if you do not come back at all. If we do not see you in the time the 3 moons come and go, I will send Nolar to look for you. Nolar says something in the background, and his posse laughs. He makes some remark. But after a quick look from the grandfather, he quiets off. Do you have anything to say to the clan before you go?
Me Doof.
What's Nolar's wife's name?
Her name is Sela.
I'm debating something, and I'm not going to do it. Never mind.
Well, are you sure? Because I know that your character has the impulsive disadvantage.
Oh, that's true. God damn it. I will come back a great hero, Sela. Then you will marry me.
Do not speak to her that way. Why don't you make like a tree and get out of here? Said Nolar. And with waves and a few words of farewell, I'll assume you head off into the morning mist. And you guys have taken some things with you. I know that you have a few belongings which are on your character sheets, but you're not rich men. You've got the furs you're wearing, you got leggings, you got skins wrapped around your feet with thongs that serve well enough as shoes. It's cold, but when you're moving like this, it heats the body up, and you guys are capable of traveling for long distances, even jogging and running for long periods of time. You're relatively hardy folk. You also have some travel rations that you guys have. It's called mash, which is like a mixture of oats and meat scraps and grease and berries and nuts. It's sort of like a mushy trail mix that you can eat, but that doesn't satisfy in the long run. But you move south for a few days. You get out of the forested regions after a while to where it's just constant, heavy pine forest into an area with smaller trees, and it is in the autumn, and so there are actually quite a few fruit trees. You can supplement your diet with that. And then in the distance in the south, you can see there's some great plains. But on the third day of this travel, you run out of food. It's been cold enough you need to make a fire at night, but you guys know how to make fire.
Yeah, me like fire.
You don't need it to cook because you've been eating your mash.
Which you say we run out of after a few days, yeah?
Yeah, after about 3 days, though, the mash runs out. And that being said, though, you've just about reached, it's morning on the third day, let's say, when you eat the rest of your mash. And you've also been moving slowly downhill over time. As you move out of the big, heavy pine forests and into the more deciduous forests, there's been a lot of little icy creeks and streams that are running down in the same direction that you're moving.
Me detect slope.
Yeah. Well, I can detect slopes on both of you guys' foreheads.
Yeah.
But that being said, though, you can see plains beyond the deciduous forest, which is not as thick, and there are tall, waving grasses out there, and you can see off in the distance a herd of gazelles. Your mouths water as you see the gazelle. You could also try to trap some food around here, something smaller like a rabbit, I'll let you guys figure out how to get food, but you're definitely going to want to get food. You know why? Because you're cavemen, and there's a constant struggle, is filling your belly.
Struggle is real.
Yes, it is.
Well, Doof, I quickly grew weary of the berries and nuts. Although I never did get weary of burying all the way to my nuts and Nollar's wife.
Me no understand.
But if you'd like to, I think we're going to have to hunt or trap some food. Do you have any preferences?
Me like hunt. Me throw rocks.
Well, you can do quite a bit of damage with a thrown rock if you can get close enough to those gazelles, especially if you get like a small one. A young gazelle would be fine for both of you. But that's one option. It's certainly an option. Just remember, the grasses are very tall. If you could get close, make sure the wind is in the right direction, and you guys understand a lot of that intuitively,
I think a gazelle is probably significantly more than we really need.
Yeah, but like I say, there's little ones. But you could also get some rabbit, make a trap. I think you might be better at hunting than making a trap.
I'm a pretty good survivalist. I don't know if that is the appropriate skill for that.
I think it would be.
But deadfall traps are pretty simple to make. Or at least I've seen Les Stroud do it a million times.
Okay.
And really primitive.
Both options are certainly available to you. And your stomachs growl as you try to make the decision. Because both have their pros and cons.
Me conflicted. Me trap rock.
Would you like to try to go ahead and put together a deadfall trap to get a rabbit or something like that? Ghaagalk?
I mean, I don't really have any bait is the problem, because we ate all of our food.
I didn't think of that.
So I suppose
I can assume maybe that I said you guys are eating all the food, but maybe it was like that last bite of food as you were about to put it in your mouth. You did say you were a little smarter and more forward thinking than most of the clan. You might have think, wait a minute. Maybe I need this for bait.
And he'd probably he'd probably set up like 3 or 4 different deadfall traps along, what appear to be, rabbit trails or whatever.
Okay. Well, you know what? I'm going to roll this secretly for you. What is your survival skill?
It is 16.
Okay. Now, how many did you say you set up?
Probably 4.
Okay. Well, you're in great luck because after 5 hours, you have 3 beautiful large rabbits.
Me caught rocks.
Good
Now,
work.
let's see, you got 2 rabbits and 1 ground squirrel.
Well, I will clean those up, skin them, and put them on sticks, roasting over the fire. Gonna have some
Sounds great.
barbecue.
Sounds great. Well, you guys make the fire, and of course it is around midday by now. And do you want to continue on across that plain with the hours of daylight that are left, or do you want to stay here and camp for one more night and then go?
How difficult would it be to travel for a few more hours and then just set up camp again when it gets dark?
Not at all. Just easier to camp in the woods than it is in the plains.
Yeah, that's true. We might want to. I have to do the talking for Doof.
Yeah.
But we might want to try to make it so that we can spend we won't have to camp at all in the plain, and hopefully just spend the entire day moving across it, or however long it takes. But
well, it's been a few days too. You think one more night of sleep, you just might be back to your full health too.
Yeah.
But yeah, you don't know sure how long it would take to cross the plain, but you both have kind of a natural aversion to camping on the plains. It's not that there's not clumps of trees here and there either, but good to rest up, get your bellies full. You know, you're going to have more than enough. You probably have enough meat for the next couple days, for 2 big rabbits. Unless you guys just eat like crazy. There's plenty of fruit around too, here in the forest. You could gather up some fruits, spend the rest of the day, replenishing your food bags for the journey.
Doof is going to stuff his cheeks like a chipmunk.
Well, I
got all his fruits and nuts in his cheeks.
Well, now something I did not ask, because it hasn't really come up yet, is when you do bed down for the night, have you guys, you've been in lands of your own people so far, but except for the last day or 2. And these are not clan lands. You're starting
snuggle.
To strange places. Well, I'm curious, are you staying up, are you guys taking turns keeping watch? Back home, one person, usually someone who's being punished, usually one of you 2, has to stay up all night and make sure the fire doesn't go out, because it's a pain in the ass to get it going again in the morning. But you also might want to keep an eye out for animals. So basically, classic adventurer question: are you guys taking a watch?
I think we should.
I agree that we should, but I also kind of think that what Ghaagalk would do anyway is tell Doof that he was going to take a watch, and then set up a perimeter of around the camp to so that if any creature larger than rabbit or something would make a large stone fall and make noise or something, to alert us, and then just go to sleep.
Well, I think it's classic time of when I should make the survivalist roll too, for you to set all that up. And I think it would take a while to do, so you might as well get started. But I have made that roll, and if you succeeded, then you should be warning. You have a 16, right? Is your skill?
Yes.
You're very skilled in surviving in the wilderness. So you guys go to sleep. And then suddenly in the night, you hear the sound of a great stone falling and a loud voice cry out in surprise. Whoop, whoop. You hear another one yell, and you're both instantly awake. And in the edge of your firelight, you can see 2 hairy men, and then a third come up. These are the hairy people. They live up in the mountains. They live in remote places. You guys hate them. You kill them whenever you find them. They're like you, but they're very hairy and they're stooped over further. And one of them comes running in, like almost like a kamikaze move, running in, screaming at the top of his lungs. He's not running at you. He's running at your fire. You think they want to steal your fire. But I think it's a really good place to go ahead and wrap up this episode for tonight.
Pre-Prometheans, eh?
Yes. So, before you tangle with the pre-Prometheans, you want to steal fire from certainly not the gods, but you two. Then we'll wrap it up for tonight, and we will return next week with more GURPS Ice Age.
Thank you very much, and goodbye. Yes, goodbye.
Bye.